Hello everybody. I came across a Facebook post yesterday that showed a subwoofer or a person who wired a subwoofer. It was a dual voice coil subwoofer. They wired one coil to their amp and then they wired the other coil directly to itself in a dead short. I commented under the video that I think this is actually the worst way to possibly hook up a subwoofer and still have it play. The reason I think this is because when this second coil is not hooked to the amplifier, if it just goes up and down, it is acting as a generator like the alternator on your car, so it produces a voltage. At least I think, right? I'll be honest, I tested, it does, and I'm going to show you. But before this, I was just braining it. So that voltage also comes with an amperage to come to a power level, and if you short that, it's again like when you try to turn a generator and it has a large amount of load on it. It's really hard. Like if you were spinning an alternator over with your hand, you could just spin it and spin it and spin it if it was not hooked up to anything and not producing any power. But if it had a dead short, you would go, it's hard to spin. So this is why I think this is the worst possible way to hook up a dual voice coil subwoofer. The second motor winding, the coil, will resist the subwoofer's movements. Now, it acts as like a electromechanical brake for the subwoofer. So I'm going to show you my foot. Got a nice sock on that. But anyway, the point I was trying to get through is that the coil resists movement of the driver when it's shorted to itself because it creates a voltage and an amperage and power. So this is the subwoofer at rest, zero volume. It's picking up some voltage from somewhere, I suppose, but not much. So now I'm starting to turn up the volume. You see there is now voltage there. We got almost 0.4 volts, and the driver is just barely moving. I'm sure you hear that, right? It is moving, but not much. So I'll turn it up to something that would be like a listening volume. Right there, the driver isn't moving very much yet again, but it's moving, it's moving a bit. We're making almost 3 volts. So turn it up more. Now the driver is moving quite a bit, maybe a few millimeters. So we got 6 volts, and I'm blowing out my other speakers. So you see there, we got over 10 volts. So no matter what the voltage coming out of there is, or how many watts it is, or how much resistance it adds, since there is a voltage coming out of there, and since if I short it, I provide a load for that generator, that coil that's now acting as a generator, since all that is true, this is the worst way to wire a subwoofer, a dual voice coil subwoofer, and still have it function. Although if you were to hook up one voice coil properly and the other one inversely to it, I suppose that could be worse. But as it sits here, this is about the worst way to hook up a subwoofer.